Welcome in everyone to the Challenge After Show. Tonight, Jenna, Pamela, and I are talking about the Challenge season 39, episode 3 only. Even though there was 2 parts to it, they just said it was 3, and but they had 2 titles for it, ladies. It's a matter of semantics / I'm coming out. I want the
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pretend that's the song that they were going with it for. But it's just I'm coming out. So it was 2 episodes, but
I'm
all
coming
under.
out, so you better get this party started. See, there's 2.
I mean, there could be a third as well. Who knows? But they all said it was
I'm
only under episode
coming
3.
out. I want the world to know.
Well,
See, I came up with a third song. Yeah, sorry.
that was the first song, Pamela.
Oh,
You could
no, it was
by Dan's tone. That was the
sorry.
first one he was
Okay.
going
I'm not a great
I was
singer
like,
though,
I'm
Pamela.
a
You added a
genius.
lot more to it, so you're probably right. That's why you didn't know. It's totally fine. Anyways, yeah. So we got a 2-parter, but it's all under episode 3. But I'm wondering if next week it'll be episode 4, or if they'll just skip over.
I
that and go to
watch on the
5.
MTV app, and it
Okay.
said 4. It said episode 3, episode 4.
Okay, so there you go. So probably next week we'll get episode 5. That's very interesting. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I'm
Okay.
curious as to why this was even a double feature to begin with.
I've got an answer. I've got an answer.
Okay.
Because neither of the episodes were anything to write home about. That's why.
I loved them. Like
Really?
I was so turned around from the beginning when I was like, people we don't care about, but now I'm like, I guess I'm glad.
Oh, did she freeze on your end?
And now I love them all. I froze.
You're fine now. There were parts that I did like. After I watched both episodes, I kind of looked back on them and I'm like, what actually happened that really affects the storyline? I think they wanted to rush us. They got bad reviews on the first 2 episodes. It was like the lowest viewing ever. And this is just a conspiracy. And I like to do my conspiracies. I think they wanted to rush us to the next part, chaos, and get Jordan Wisely involved in this season. I think they saw the ratings. They were like, we got to get him through this. They pushed forward. Could be.
Yeah, totally. My overall takeaways, like when you said you're thinking about these episodes and you can't even really think about like the major bullet points. My takeaways are that I didn't think either of the daily challenges were amazing. I didn't think that they were horrible, but they weren't super entertaining. They weren't super tactical, they weren't that I think that they were the one where they had to swim was incredibly challenging. I don't doubt that, just because of your cardiovascular and your endurance, and swimming is hard. Even some people are incredible at it, but even for like an average person who's in shape, that's still a really hard thing to do. But I just don't think that was one that translated well to TV. And we'll talk about it. But the one in the first episode, I was like, this is kind of a joke. There's like only 3 people that matter in this entire challenge that actually have like a role to really have an influence in this challenge. But we'll go into that. So I didn't think the challenges were amazing. I thought the social stuff was good, though. I loved the coming out party. We had some fights, we had a lot of interactions with people, we saw alliances and game talk and people trying to strategize in different ways and going behind each other's backs. So there was a lot of good social stuff. And to cap it all off, I'm just devastated with the way the last episode ended. That's not, how I feel, and that's not the ending I wanted. So.
And, for all the hate I got in the comments for saying that Huey wasn't a great competitor, they're like, come on, Dan, someone that brings entertainment, you should just like him for that. Well, I'm just saying, I don't think he's a great competitor. Like, I don't know why that's such like a crazy thing to say out loud, but I don't think he's good.
Bad, though. I mean,
no, exactly.
Yeah.
I love to defend my people. I will say it was the most entertaining person on this show. So welcome to Now This Show Is Going to Be Boring, in my opinion. He was my favorite personality. It was so exciting. I just loved everything about him. But also, he wasn't bad. He's not he was there every step of the way. It was back and forth. And also, I'll one up you on that too, is the game was stupid.
That's my point. That's why it was. And that's why it was so close. Anybody and their mother could do this game. Let's be honest. You're rolling a ball and aiming it at it's a Chuck E. Cheese game. They're playing a game at Chuck E. Cheese. It's not.
I'm not even trying to say that it was easy. I'm just trying to say it was kind of stupid and one of those, like you're saying,
it's like a carnival game. It was a carnival game.
Carnival game, yeah.
But that's why it was so close, because anybody, like, you just roll a ball. Like, anyone can do this.
It was, I mean, you have to get your rhythm down and you have to whatever. I don't know. I agree though that I'm sad he left. He's really grown on me. I didn't know how I felt about him, and now I feel like really sad to see him go. The way it went, I understand everyone's why they did it, like going with the house, but I felt terrible for him. That hurts when people your
Yeah,
main.
and like before I get a ton of hate in the comments, not that I mind it at all. It's I'm like I'm encouraging it. I loved his interaction with Corey tonight and their relationship and how I even like literally was like writing down. I'm like, oh wow, Huey and Corey are really entertaining together when they were joking about like, man, who cut up this watermelon? We really suck at cutting up watermelon. Whatever it was, the joke. Let's
Yeah.
blame these other dudes on it. Like that stuff is fun. I really enjoyed that. And I didn't want Huey to go home this early in the season, but hey, they keep throwing him in there for a reason. And you know, Callum, I think he was the one that said, you know, honestly, I don't want to vote for Huey. I kind of want to keep him around. I want a weaker competitor around. So he's saying that, not me.
Right.
Some other people are also thinking that he is on the weaker side. So I don't know if it's just a visual thing because he's not like jacked up like a lot of the other dudes, but it's being thrown around the house, not just by me.
And he's disruptive. We know at this point in the sort of beginning, which it's still, just to remind you guys, because I had it playing. I took a shower after I watched the episodes and it was still playing, so it went back to like episode 1.
Yeah.
And like, this is going to be done in 3. Do you guys remember this? Am I reiterating? Chaos,
Right,
control, and I totally forgot. So this whole, or control, chaos, and then conquer or something.
Yeah.
This whole group thing is going to be over soon. Because I was going to say, for the
Yes.
guys, I get that Huey's disruptive. He's a loudmouth. He's a busybody. He's not going to go with the flow. And no, I mean, it's great. He's got he's got a personality. But at this point, before people are making big moves, especially when they're working as a group teams, it's just like whoever got into an argument, whoever did this, whoever did that, and Huey makes an easy target because he's not as physically threatening looking, and he's always got something to say. You know, all the guys are like, he was getting involved, and I think they can suck it because I think he's got appropriate things to say. But everyone, you know, he's not fairly. I'm not saying I agree with the target on his back, but I understand that these dudes are like, oh, Huey, you know.
Yeah. And it's interesting though, because he is such a good person to everybody individually. So, you know, you have Callum saying something about, you know, he made a joke because Huey is saying he's good socially in the house, and Callum's like, well, you obviously must not be good socially if you're not seeing that, you know, you're not socially aware enough to realize that people are saying your names and people are whispering about you. But I mean, I think that that's kind of the point, is Huey actually is friends with everybody, but I think he was on the outskirts of every alliance, and that sucks. So he kind of just got scapegoated. So I mean, I think I'm biased, so it's hard to see through my own bias, but that's how I feel. Like, when I like that he spoke up in the deliberation and was just kind of like, wait, everyone stop and tell me why I'm being voted in, because I agree with him. He's not the person that is outstandingly sucking in all of these daily challenges that sticks out like a sore thumb and is like, he's the weakest link. He's a liability for all of us to lose money. Like we all said, you know, the group thing is going to end soon. And I think they know that. So I really just think he was the easy target for them to scapegoat. He's not really cool macho UK guys. And he's not in with the USA guys. So therefore,
Huey got screwed over, ladies. He got screwed over this episode because TJ forced it to be a male elimination. He says it at the end, like, now TJ just gets to pick and choose, because if it wasn't up to TJ, if TJ didn't say anything, that was going to be a girls' elimination again, 100%. We saw Nerese struggle awful in the water. She would have had everyone would have had the easiest thing to be. If anyone started calling out Huey could say, why are we targeting Nerese? But TJ forced the hand of the house to have to go against a guy. And let's be honest, this is not the first time in years and years of the challenge that the men have going after the smaller male competitors. Remember, years ago, they went after Jay. And what did Jay do? Jay kept getting forced into elimination and kept winning eliminations, proving that he was a tough out. And then they didn't want to do it until, of course, Fessy went in there and knocked his blocks off, and he had a concussion and got forced home. Yeah. But then after that, after Jay, he went and beat CT at one point. So they stopped leaving him alone. So what does Huey have to do? Huey's got to go in there and prove himself, and he just hasn't done it the last 2 seasons. So
Well,
that's just what's going to keep happening.
he did win an elimination on his first. And
He
the only
beat
other
Corey. Corey admitted that. I think Corey, didn't he lose to Corey?
Yeah,
Or Corey beat him. No,
he beat
he
Corey, but
he beat Corey.
Corey is very athletic in his own right, though. But I guess my point is, it really is a scapegoat because he is on the outskirts and he's close with everybody in a friendly enough way, but not in the way where he's in the inner circle. Like, for example, what does Callum have that Huey doesn't have? What has Callum proven us? Like, what, he's leaner, I guess, you know?
Callum?
Like,
He's got a better connection with the other guys.
Is he Michelle's guy?
yeah, Michelle's guy. So that's what I mean. Is like, so Huey, yeah, he was just the easy target, and there was nothing he really could have done to avoid that.
That's also part of the, we talk about a good you ladies always talk about a good social game being so important. Well, Huey needed to step up his social game then.
Unfortunately,
but what would that mean?
I don't know. I agree with you, Jenna. I don't know, but they all
he just doesn't seem to be like in that in crowd for whatever. Well, I guess, Pam, you did actually make a point. See, I am biased. Now I'm trying to, be the opposition to my own bias. He does go against the grain, and I guess he does like ruffle them up a little bit because he will say whatever he wants and say what he means and not care what people think about it. So he is, people, you have said that he's like loud and, they're trying to strategize for the upcoming challenge and they just keep hearing Huey's voice. So there has been complaints about him. Probably similar to the girls with Berna, right? That they just kind of feel like tone it down and like get out of our ear, which to me, we're not there in the house. So if everybody's feeling that way, then that's probably, there's truth to it. But from what we're seeing on the TV,
I still think he's being scapegoated. I think
they also had multiple
neither them, Berna or Huey, are doing enough to make me feel like villains, awful. They are the people you should be voting out,
Ladies, someone's got to go home though. They gotta
yeah, but someone exactly.
It just happens. It just happened. It is what it is. Let's hop to the beginning of episode 3. I want to admit this season, I know it's like kind of like rated G or even maybe a little bit PG. They are trying to show some relationships that are forming in the house, which is nice. It's not like rated R stuff like they used to show when Bananas just like walked in on people butt ass naked, but at least they're showing us something. It's a little fun.
I'm sorry, I just love Rosie.
Oh yeah, Rosie's here. So what I wanted to bring up was Mariah. Speaking of Bananas, Mariah and her new guy. That's like kind of like these last 2 episodes. That's been growing, and they've actually shown it happening. James.
James.
Yeah.
He's a household name, Dan. How do you not remember his name?
I am so sorry, James. In the UK, apparently he's a household name. But there is something here. But I want to bring up something that Mariah says. Mariah's not sure that she can spend time with James because she's spending time with Bananas on the outside. Girls, in 2023, what does spending time with mean? Casual hookups is what I'm thinking, right? They say they keep hanging out and they're hooked. I think it's just a hookup. It's not boyfriend, girlfriend. Totally. Mariah has nothing to feel bad about here.
Nothing.
And yet she's making it sound like she's married to Bananas and she cheated on him. Look, what is going on?
I think that she is a very normal person that's considerate and like, no, she doesn't have anything to feel bad about. And I liked Norris being like, he's not your boyfriend. I immediately was like, oh, right, Mariah and Bananas. And went and looked like, what did Banana say? And he was like, oh, someone using me for clout or using my name for clout in a storyline, shocker, or something, like as a kind of joking. But then when Mariah gets the call from TJ, so I was like, okay, like obviously she doesn't have anything to feel about. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend. Wes wrote on Twitter or something. Last time I checked, Bananas hasn't had a girlfriend in 2 years. And then Bananas responded, oh, shocker, someone like bringing up my name for clout and a storyline.
I agree. I agree. It's obvious.
I agree too. But then I was like, oh, but enough that when she got the call to be on the season, he answered her phone. He's like, hey, Teach, I said not to call me. Like, but enough that you're going to answer her phone on like the call to like, they're hooking up. It's not, she doesn't need to feel bad and cry.
Well, I'm definitely hooking up. These things are, who knows when the hell these things are filmed anymore. But right now I'm watching Bananas on House of Villains flirting with 2 of the women in the house. I know it's not on the exact same time. Who knows? But I know that Bananas is not seeing Mariah. That's what I do know. So Bananas calling out, if Bananas really is calling out Mariah,
genuinely
that's hilarious.
Like, I don't want to humiliate this guy that I've been hooking up with for a year. by seeing me hook up with someone. I don't think she did anything wrong, and I don't think she needs to feel that way.
I don't think Bananas cares at all. And I think, and honestly, I think Mariah's bringing it up just to give herself more attention to Bananas, because Bananas, I'm telling you right now, this dude is doing it. Did he just open up like a gym or something too? Yeah. Like Bananas is killing it on the outside world, and anyone wants to be associated with him. So Mariah to bring him up, I think that's producer fed. I think producing, hey Mariah, can you bring up your relationship with Bananas? We want to. We need
cheating on him.
We need more names. We need more big names being brought up in this house, because we got a bunch of people that no one really cares about this season. I think, Jenna, please tell us your take on all this, because Pamela and I could talk for hours about this.
I know. No, I've been enjoying listening to you guys talking about it, because I kind of took it more at face value, because I understand her personality, where she's coming from, that even though she might not be doing anything wrong, I still understand like her sense of guilt for whatever reason, just because she is somebody, like she said, that doesn't want to hurt people. So yeah, I mean, Bananas, who knows how the hell he feels about this? He could not even care. So who knows what his take is? But for her, she's thinking like, oh, he's going to watch this back. Meanwhile, I mean, I forgot that they were even a thing. This was a reminder. This episode was a complete reminder for me. But if they are kind of dating on a little bit more of a serious level, then that is kind of messed up what she was doing.
I don't think it's messed up, and I don't think he'll care, but I think she's probably like, what, 23? Like, she's so young. He's like 43. Like, this is his world.
Like, it's not going to work anyway.
Not that, but she probably feels like
that. No, that too, Jenna. I'm with Jenna.
Well, that too. And again, I think clearly I think when I was a young girl at that age too, if I was consistently sleeping with someone for a year, I would feel bad going on their turf, and you know, he's the face of the challenge. She's been on one season. If they're going to end it where it looks humiliating to him.
So I think, Pam, it's more of, she's like, I got to cover my ass. People watch the challenge for Bananas. I need to represent my brand after this. If people hate me, I'm telling you, these kids care a lot about their brand. And if she's going against Bananas, a lot of people are like, oh, Mariah's cheating on Bananas. I don't like her anymore. I'm not going to follow her fitness videos.
I agree. She wanted to cover her bases, of not look like this bitch that, you know, used. I don't think she was sitting there going, Bananas is going to be so upset. Like, I don't think she's that delusional.
It's truly hard for anybody these days to say something, or write something in an email, write something in a tweet, and then not severely think about the backlash. Like, especially if you have any little ping of anxiety, you know, because it doesn't matter who you are at all now. Anything you say or do can be used against you on the internet. And she actually is on a platform. So that's a good point. Maybe she's sitting there thinking like, they're going to remember me as hooking up with Bananas, and I still kind of am seeing him and dating him. And now I'm hooking up with James. You know, everyone's going to drag me through the mud. You know,
he made it like, who cares? She doesn't mean anything, which is just as obnoxious. But he could have made it like, this bitch broke my heart. Like, you don't know. So I don't think her tears were. I think she was genuinely concerned. How is this going to work? I think that's a sincere thing.
Yeah, but I also don't want to twist that either, because I don't know. I mean, it could also be genuine. I don't want to say she's doing it to like now do damage control from like a PR standpoint preemptively. Like, she could also be feeling this way. You know, she was crying and seemed pretty upset by it. So
don't get in James's bed. What are we doing here? Like, what? I don't feel bad for someone for making that decision and then crying about it later. Don't get in James's bed. You obviously don't have a real thing with Bananas going. It's all garbage.
And Bananas is not your boyfriend, and he will do it. Don't worry. Like, he's So
right.
don't.
Right. Pam, I wonder if this was Bananas on the show and he had found a new hot thing to hook up with, would Mariah even be named? If, like, let's say Bananas was on the season and Mariah.
He's on another show right now that we're watching. Mariah has not been named. He's on it.
Yeah. Right. Because Mariah, it brings me back to my point. Mariah wants to use the name, but she wants to be associated with him too.
I don't even think it's necessarily her. I agree that it's very producer and other, like, she doesn't want to do that to Bananas. And for her to say, oh, we're hanging out, I do think it's probably a bigger deal to her than it is to him. Not that I'm saying she loves him. Like, I don't think she does. And I think it's fine, but I think he's the one with the clout, quote unquote, in this scenario. And Yes, she's on Banana's show right now, basically. It's like Mariah's guest starring on Banana's World. So it's weird not to mention the guy that in her brain, when you're sleeping with and spending have been for a year. For him, it's like, yeah, you know, lots of girls. For her, it's like, oh my God, you're Prince William or whatever. And
well, we don't know that, Pamela. Maybe Bananas was faithful for a whole year to her. We don't know that.
No, they said they're not boyfriend and girlfriend, but they're whatever. And I think it is more common.
Well, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Let's move along.
Yeah, we can move on. I don't know, but I think
let's move along here. Big T makes food for 24 people. We knew on social media that she is a chef now. She made the food for the 24 people. I'm sorry. I think I think she had some help. I know she's a chef. I think my conspiracy is producers or the cook. They have a house cook now. We know they have a house chef. They see
grilled steak. All she had to do was make the marinade.
For 24 people? For 24 people? That's a lot of steak.
Steak and marinade.
All right. Honestly, the food looked amazing.
It looked
so good.
Because the house chef made it.
But I'm laughing because I mean, I'm sure it was a production idea. Like, I'm sure they went and bought all of this meat, and
well, they have to. Yeah. They can't leave the house. Yeah,
I know exactly. And then like, Big T, like, you're gonna be a chef.
Well, you're gonna show off your chefing skills.
You're a vegetarian. Did it make you want steak?
I have been eating some steak.
Oh, good. You know, you need.
Wow.
It's protein and stuff.
After 5 years, I've been having some. So.
Good.
It did look good though. Like, I'm not a big.
It looked really good.
If I go to a steakhouse, I'll get steak, but I don't like. I'm not like I'm gonna cook up a steak.
Exactly. It's
not. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian. I eat a lot of chicken, but I don't. But I was like, that looks.
Well, now that we know Pam's diet.
Yeah. But that looks so good to me too.
I want to talk about I want to talk about Berna doing the dance party at the hot tub. I'm very intrigued by this. This is the first fight we got of the night. I didn't see Melissa. Melissa and Big T are obviously friends, or they were in the hot tub together at that point. I do see, I don't know, this could be out of context. I don't know, but I'm just going to say what I saw. I did see Big T kind of roll her eyes at Berna dancing, and I don't like that. And for all those people that say I don't like Big T for a reason, well, that gave that I don't like Big T because of that right there. There's a reason right there. Okay. And I never saw Melissa do anything, so I can't comment on that. However, Melissa has been rubbing me the wrong way this season. So maybe she did. And now we can talk about bullying and what that means. I was bullied a ton growing up. So to me, if I was dancing and having a good time and someone rolled their eyes at me, I would consider that a type of bullying. Other people might not. So we can talk about that. Then it became a huge fight. So I'll let you ladies.
Well, okay. So I think on that is that I feel like I dare you to have any two good friends in real life together, like observing a situation and not make an eye movement at each other. So my note on that was like, Melissa didn't bully her, but then when she brought it up, she proceeded to bully her. Like,
she did turn into the bully. She ultimately did.
Chest bumping. Like I did not think what Big T and Melissa did constituted you bullied me. Later, which I was like, thank God that Melissa explained, because Melissa, I was like, way overblown response, like, how dare you? No. Then I was like, and then she became a bully. Like,
was it hating on her then? Was it just hating on Berna? Because there was an eye roll.
I think they don't like her.
They were making so they're making fun of somebody. But if you're making fun of somebody,
a very like
I felt bad for Berna in this.
Me too. So I want to know what is it then, like, Jenna?
Suck it the fuck up. Like another person would just.
No, that's BS to me.
Well, it's also
you're allowed to look at each other and roll. That's not bullying.
But what? But if they're rolling their eyes at Berna, I don't think that's very nice. That's being mean. Berna didn't do anything wrong.
Like, what are you doing, loser? Like, that's bullying. Like, being like, what do you suck at dancing? Dork, like, that's bullying. Them sometimes each other and do a very subtle.
It doesn't have to be verbal. It doesn't have to be verbal to be bullying, in my idea. Sorry, Jenna. Go ahead, Jenna. You have an idea here.
I think sometimes that passive in the corner of the room stuff is even worse. I'd rather somebody be direct and mean to my face and call me out, and instead of, you guys are giggling, making fun of me in the corner when I can obviously see it. And again, this is editing that could have been manipulated. They could have done those eye rolls at any time of the night. and it could
what
have
we
been
saw,
sliced
that's what I
in.
was like,
But if we're gonna follow the show and we're gonna
Yes.
comment on the show, what it looked like is that Berna, I was feeling happy for her, honestly. Right before they showed Big T and Melissa rolling her eyes, I literally
I think I rolled my eyes at her dance.
Well,
Even
no,
myself, I was like, at her lame dancing.
well, no, oh, you did.
That's why I was
Okay,
like-
so I wrote the note. That sounds like Jersey Shore. I wrote a note down and I was like, oh, good. Like, it's only, 2 episodes later and Berna's actually friends with people in the house. Like, what a great turnaround she's had. She's getting along with people. Look at her shining, dancing, getting involved with the party, just like anybody at the party. And then it immediately turns into what it looks like is 2 girls rolling their eyes, laughing at her, giggling about her behind her back. And it's like,
there was no that's where, okay, so let me jump in and say this is why I love this episode, because there was so much like development stuff happened, which I liked. There was a lot of that. I do love Berna, so even at myself, but it's like like I don't know, I'm not a dancer, so if someone was dancing I would be like, oh god, probably to their face, not in a mean way, but like as a friend, I don't know. I don't think that's bullying or should make someone feel bullying. And that's on you if you're going to be that hurt by that, by someone being like, oh God, your moves.
Man, Pamela, I'm so on the opposite side of this.
I kind of get to, like, I understand what you're saying, Pam, because you have a thicker skin and you can roll it off your shoulder. But just because you do doesn't mean it like would hurt somebody like Berna less, especially because now the background of the situation is she has been the person that people have been talking about, isolating for 2 episodes now. And she's like, still isn't stopping. I'm not doing anything wrong, but dancing like we saw everybody else in the episode do. All she was doing was getting up and shaking around just like everyone else.
Everyone else was, yes.
Yeah.
What they showed that was so subtle, I didn't see any giggle. I didn't hardly even see an eye roll. That I'm like, if this is the big caught red-handed video of them bullying her, I'm not very sold. I like maybe
though, but you tend to know. Like, has that not ever happened
to
you?
Of course, yes, and you know, and you, but you
don't
really know. So it's like, I don't know. That's why the calling out on it. I felt for Raven, this is, and we'll save that. But when the girls were like sitting together, heads together, like not talking to Raven, I was like, that I would feel like, you guys, what the fuck? Much more than like 2 people that don't like that kind of like heads together. That is bullying to me. Not bullying, but they're like sitting in a group, 2 friends. You don't necessarily know what's going on. I don't know. For me, with the bullying, it's a group, it's a public, it's a just 2 people rolling their eyes at each other about maybe you, even if you sense it is.
I mean, I don't mind that Berna called them out, though. She was trying to get to the problem. I kind of like that. Again, instead of being like behind somebody's back, she was like, no, I thought I saw you roll your eyes at me and whisper to each other, whatever, behind my back while I'm dancing. And that made me feel like I was being bullied.
And then she won.
And then Melissa
was, and I was like, what a fucking bitch. Go Berna. So,
and I will say this. One could argue that I feel that Melissa actually kind of bullied Kylan last week with what she said to him at the club after he wouldn't kiss her, saying, oh, anyone else would love to effing kiss me. It's like, well, one could argue that as well. So Melissa saying that she's not a bully this episode. Well, I thought you bullied someone last episode a little bit. So there you go.
I agree. And Melissa became a bully in that moment. I was like, if I were Melissa or Big T, who did she even respond to the? I would be like,
how did Big T get out of this? By the way,
yeah,
Big T was look, she didn't even get in there.
Melissa took it upon herself. She was like, part the Red Sea, give me the runway. I'm taking this one. Don't worry. And she went off. Yeah.
I think she was horrible. And again, that was bullying. I think the way she responded to that and like screaming in her face and picking a fight and I'll drag you down there. I thought Melissa bad. And I was like, I'm done with Melissa after this. Like, I don't like her, until she did apologize. And she was like, unfortunately, which also addressed the Kylan thing, when I feel I fly off the handle and this is triggering, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't still think it was okay. And I think she was a real shithead the way she overreacted and then, boned it up in the competition. So I would have been fine.
Sure, yeah. And this is
not
and it's not a defense of Melissa at all. I mean, I'm also just sure that there was like alcohol in the mix too, and that probably made things like way more escalated. It also probably was an escalated, heated situation because, you know, you're overhearing or you hear from someone that you're a bully and everyone's saying now you're bullying. So now you, of course, you jump onto the defense, but she was not making a good case for herself. She definitely was not trying to approach it with like any sort of, let me just listen to what she has to say first. Let me go from there. There was no kind of like empathy or understanding. It was immediate defense mode. I mean, she explained the history that she had been heavily bullied, and you know, there's the I guess you could see two sides of what you could do.
Is that you should know not to be such a mean fucking
sure, but
mean.
also you know that the one who is the punching bag ends up you know, punching, you know, so it's like the bully becomes the bullied. Exactly. So there's that, because I kind of thought the same too, Pam. It's like, well, if you knew what it's like to be bullied, wouldn't you try to just maybe listen and understand first? But no, oftentimes the bullied becomes the bully. So
I'll give you something to cry about. Yeah.
And we never
why I oughta.
Yeah,
and maybe,
exactly.
and maybe she did, but we never saw Big T apologize. And I thought like she was caught on camera in theory with what we saw more than Melissa was. All I saw was the back of Melissa's head. So there you go. Moving forward here, we can get into this snore fest of a daily challenge. I wrote down the word snore fest for the first time ever in the challenge. I just wasn't into it. They had to solve a math equation and then drive, I'm pretty sure, the same gosh darn ATVs from the end of the last season around in a circle.
Buggies are back. The buggies
I should have looked it up. I tried to go back and watch the season finale of Challenge USA 2, but my DVR already deleted it. Was it the same ones? I couldn't find it.
Those are going to show up again. They must be.
Anyways,
it's
like what the hell did the passengers do? Most people didn't do anything, like you were saying, Jenna or Pam. You guys brought it up earlier, but like the passengers had the worst thing. They didn't do any. At least the people driving had to drive the ATVs around, but the people in the passenger seat, what were they? I saw like Huey lean out, like, yeah, back up a little bit. What else am I gonna do? Of course I'm gonna back up.
There was way too many numbers still left in the show for this to be the challenge that they did, because yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier, is that there was really only 3 to 4 people that mattered. Of course, the drivers, they have a role. They have to drive and park the car, sure. But I'm sorry, that is not rocket science. Like the only people that had an impact on this game were the people doing the math and Michelle leading everybody from the tower. Like that was it. Everybody else just got to stand there or literally sit in the passenger seat. Like, so what? 6 of you had to make plus signs, minuses at one point in the game.
Move the plus to the middle.
And there's more than enough of you to handle it. Like, so at the end of it all, they're like, well, no one messed up today. So what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to, like, congratulations. Yes, you won. But honestly, only 3 people mattered in this challenge. Like,
and then the producers,
just tones.
The producers try to make it more dramatic by putting in that confessional of like Raven saying, oh, Hui seems to be having a tough drive driving this car. And then the next clip they show is her like backing it in, no problem. And I'm like,
a D. Literally, she was just like, okay,
I'm like, what the hell are they like? But the producers needed to use something, because later on she obviously goes into elimination. They needed to give us something, but it was all garbage. She was doing just fine. Her and Horacio were having a great time driving around. They were trying to give us something when there was nothing to give us. It was so like there was a nothing. This was a nothing burger challenge.
It was only one. Sorry, Sam.
I just think that, for me personally, I was like, I just need Jenna and Dan to explain to me what the fuck happened, because all I could follow was the math problems.
You didn't miss much.
Are too broad. I did understand the second one. Puzzle, go down, get your thing. But it was like, what are they doing? What is Michelle yelling at them?
She got relayed the whiteboard with the correct answer.
I don't even care. But it was like, I knew that math was happening and Michelle was yelling something and they had to put cars somewhere. But I didn't.
Well, the worst part is like
to watch like a 30 people activity.
They didn't even let us kind of like even try to help them solve the I didn't know what was going on with the math. I didn't even know how to. They were like, they had little mini cars that they could move around to solve their math problem. But like I was trying to like solve the math problem with them. They didn't even give the viewer the opportunity to do the one thing that even meant anything in this challenge, which was like a 20-minute part of a 2.5-hour episode. I'm like, this is shit. So anyway.
We playing along at home say, Yeah.
But
You couldn't play along at home. It was awful.
But what I did learn is that Ed is an engineer. I don't know if that was mentioned before, but
I
that's
feel
cool.
like season 1 they mentioned that, didn't
Okay.
they? The
Remember
first time he was
I
on, I mean.
know.
Remember when I thought that Chris was maybe a contractor and that's why he was so naturally strong? He's actually like in sales of something.
Yeah, you looked it up when we were on an air one time.
Yes,
Like,
and somebody commented, and I feel like it's like the most wait now. God, I gotta stop doing fake news because I'm like, I feel like it was like solar panel sales, but that's like the most cliche one
Gosh,
ever.
I hope it's solar panels.
I hope
So
so
I
too.
should really fact check myself.
If it is, Chris, come to Palm Springs. That's the place for solar panel
Oh,
sales.
solar sales, yes.
Good
It's
for him.
Good
called
for
solar
him.
sales. And so like I can't believe that I just basically made up his identity as this strong blue collar, naturally fit, functionally strong contractor. I was like, well, obviously he's a contractor.
I like it too that you're fake
In
news.
solar sales. But good for Ed. Ed's an engineer. I mean, why not? I don't know why we stereotype people. You know, I just saw this big, like, hunky, meaty guy, and I was like, never is he an engineer. He probably is a personal trainer like everyone else on this fucking show.
Right. No, it's great when Ed for Prez, by the way. He's like the best. He's so good and he's so humble when what's his name? Kieran. I keep confusing Kieran.
No, Kyle or
Kieran, not Kylan.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Kieran, the tattoos blonde.
Yeah, that's him.
Guy that's good at challenges. When they came in, he's like, "You got 3. I didn't know you got 3." And Ed's like, "Yeah, we did so good." Like Ed just didn't even take the compliment. And during everybody's bragging for I'm the best, Ed's like, "We worked good as a team. You know, there's no one." He's just so sweet and funny and nice.
Great Philly accent you did.
Thanks. I like it. I like, yeah. Yeah.
But you know what Ed reminds me of, minus the drama, is I don't know, a challenger from the early 2000s, just someone that's there, have a good time, and to work hard, and to you know. So it's interesting because, like, yeah, he didn't take any credit for kicking ass at this challenge.
And
like
he
he
really did. Like,
I just have to call out one thing that he did give me. One of my most like irky things that I hear from people is when they describe things as war. I really just
as
can't.
war. Oh,
yes,
war.
like he was like, oh, whenever I'm gonna go to war every day. And I always, like, when football players are like, I go to war every day with my brothers, it's a battlefield out there,
right.
like, we're at war, boys. I'm always just like, spare me, please.
Yeah,
like,
I hear you on that one. That one's a little hard to take in.
I don't think, do you know any military, like, it's not as sensitive to me, but it's like if I knew someone that really went to war, I'd be like, no, you didn't. You just played a sport for $1 gazillion. The fuck up. But
no, it just feels so like, oh, it just feels so, I don't know.
And he's ride or die.
Hetero, maybe. Like,
he was on The Circle before this. What was he on? What show was he on?
On
before
The
this?
Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like a new age reality star where they're all like, "Hey, I've got this new drink you should all try after I get off the show." He doesn't feel like he's promoting anything. He's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go back to work after this." And
yeah, as an engineer in Philly with my like girlfriend, because that first season Tori was into Ed, and he was like, "I got a girlfriend," you know, I'm a girlfriend. And it's like he didn't get tempted. It's like, no, I want to win money. It's like, you know, money.
He's actually a person, like how we say, oh, you want to take somebody out of their situation and put them on TV.
How crazy that we want to see.
He's not 20. He's not like out of, like, he's got a real job and a real life. I feel like he's less.
But that's what the real
better time
back in the day. You brought 7 real people together who weren't doing this to get on social media because it didn't exist anymore. You know, it didn't exist yet. And just put him in a house and see what happens. And Ed just reminds me of that. Like, he'd be great on a real world, just like hanging. I'd want him to be single and, you know, younger, like, so he can be single and stuff. Because, you know, the problem with the challenge too now is people like in their mid-30s and they're all already booed up. But anyway.
I like that he's loyal though, because
I do too.
Well, of course, yes. Thank God he's not like Tony.
Yeah,
everybody must love him, so it must be so hard. Like, it's like the seasons when Bananas had a girlfriend, or when CT, when the popular people are taken. It's like, Ed's so cute, everyone must love him.
Pam, it sounds like you love him. It sounds like you like him. Oh, right. Oh,
so obvious. Everyone's obsessed with him.
He's a good guy, though. He reminds me of my husband. He's a good guy.
There it is.
The gap is really, the gap's really closing here.
Yes.
Anyway, No, he's adorable, and he killed it in both. Just one more Ed for Prez rant, but he killed it
She's in
with the
love.
math, and then he killed it like he crushed both of those. I right now I'm hoping.
Yeah, I have a great question coming up for that swimming challenge, but I'll wait for it. It's about Ed. Remind me, ladies. It's about Ed, and I'm very confused on what happened there. But anyway, we'll come back to him.
I'll try to remind you. You know I'm not going to remember.
I'll just remind myself.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to talk about with deliberation for this first one? It's all just
a little bit. So let's talk about Pam kind of talked about this, but there's definitely, you know, the storyline continues with Raven and the other girls. And it's interesting because I was feeling as though Raven was, again, kind of like a Huey, you know, she's in this alliance, but is she, you know, they're not really involving her in all the conversations. It feels like they're whispering about her. Like, you know, she actually really found Chauncey to be a good friend. So she was trying to ride with him as the alliance. So I was definitely supporting all of her stances on that. But this episode, didn't it kind of make it seem like she was very like aloof to it all? Like she was just like, oh, oops, like I didn't realize. You know, and I was like,
she did. And I think she did everything she could possibly have done to like redeem herself, but she completely fucked up and screwed over her alliance. Like it wasn't like, oh, but she's not really in it. She is really in it. And this time they made it, they were like, well, I don't even really like Raven, but like she's in our alliance.
They want the numbers. And you know what? Raven should realize that she's at the bottom of that totem pole of that alliance.
That's what I thought, Dan. So that's why I was making that argument like, oh, Raven's actually pretty smart because she's privy to this. She realizes she's going to be the first one out. But this episode made it seem like she wasn't thinking that way. She actually just kind of made a.
Well, let me throw something at you then too. She's also, they also showed her hooking up with that Kieran guy in the hot tub. And he's obviously, so like, I don't blame her. Isn't that smarter for her to get away from the Americans and bring?
That's not what she wants. We saw her today.
We don't know that yet. I think that
she's tribute to redeem her.
No, I think she's purposely playing both sides here, which I think is smart for her because that American alliance don't give no.
They don't give no F's about her, but she should use them as they're using her for numbers at this point. And Raven, I learned tonight, I'm like, oh, she's not unlikable. She has no social game. She's terrible. She is bad at reading rooms. She's bad. Those girls, she's almost like the Amber. Like, it's not that there's anything wrong with her, but they're not friends. They're not friends with her the way they are with each other.
And that's why I was feeling bad for her. And I was advocating for her doing her own thing for all of those reasons. Yeah. And I actually felt bad when they're showing her hooking up with Kieran, because then I'm like, oh, no wonder why she told him. Why are we not talking about the fact that she's in this showmance with this kid, flirting with him, hooking up with him? No wonder why she also is probably, seems like she's more emotionally invested in that hookup than he is, because
for sure.
He later on
fucking said her name.
Yeah, exactly. And also because, you know, she was more emotionally invested in the relationship with Johnny. So she's probably, again, like on this intellectual level with Kieran that he obviously isn't giving a shit about. He's probably the one that ratted her out to everyone. So, but anyway, it was a light bulb moment for me, like, oh, so everyone's mad at her for telling Kieran. No wonder why she told him, because that's her show hookup. And she's probably trying to like establish that rapport with him and get that flirtation going a little bit more. And confide in each other and communicate with each other and be, you know, on that emotional level as well as hooking up. And yeah, so I felt bad for her when they showed them hooking up, because I was like, okay, so that's the reason. That's why she should have said, well, I'm hooking up with him. I like him. That's why I told him. But maybe girls would have hated that and been like, well, you can't go tell it. I don't know. So
I mean, so far this season, I actually like Raven. I don't think that she's done. I mean, I get it. I'm looking at it from her point of view. If she's thinking this way, she's at the bottom of the totem pole with the Americans. I don't blame her at all for trying to give the other guy, Kieran, some information, especially if she wants to build an alliance with him. I know Pam's rolling her eyes. I was rooting 100% for Raven. I don't care how nice who he is. I just think she's just like nice. Like she doesn't really bring much to the table as far as a reality person. She doesn't. No, I don't. So I like Raven better for the show. I think she can bring a little bit more drama. Huey's just there. What does Huey bring to the table? Not much.
Fine. No, that's fine. But I thought Raven was like totally in the wrong. I thought she did the only thing she could do, which was like, yeah, I'll go in and I'll win, and hopefully they'll try. Like, and
She's in the wrong until she realizes that nobody in the American Alliance really likes her. They just want an extra number for the time being.
Her. But that's what an alliance is. It's not a best friendship. It's not best friend necklaces. It's, I'm not going to say your name and you don't say my name because we have made a deal to not say each other's names. So when you go tell the guy you're hooking up with what your team's secret plan is, because you're not as good friends with that, I don't think she thought it through. I also don't think it was malicious. I think it was just thoughtless all around.
Yeah, that's what this episode showed to me. And I was surprised because I did think that there was strategy and intention behind, you know, the way she was playing the game, and trying to support Chauncey more than the US Alliance. I thought that there was some reason there, like a little rationale, and it turned out, it seems as though, because the way she was doing damage control this episode, it seemed as though it was thoughtless, like what you're saying. Like, she's like, oh shit, now I gotta go apologize. I totally didn't realize what I was doing there. Oopsie whoopsie. So
yeah, and every alliance has a low man has like the less, you know, every alliance has a pecking order to some time, but there was no reason to mess with that alliance. And she did. Like, I think hopefully it's over and they'll all move forward and play together as numbers until they don't.
Yeah. But listen, though, so what ends up happening, though, is all the girls, they know that it's going to be a girls' day. So instead of the girls being liable of saying another girl's name in the house, they set it up that they're all going to burn on a different guy. But their goal is to manipulate it so that it's either Berna or Raven going in. So it's like, well, you guys keep talking all this stuff about Raven being in your alliance, but you're still trying to set her up for her to go in. So if I mean, does Raven, is that the consequence? Is that the debt that she is now supposed to, it is?
I think so. But on that, with the deliberation, pre-deliberation, when Corey was mad about burning, I get it, but he's like, I might have to teach the girls a lesson. So Corey's like, all right, no one declared you the lesson teacher, Corey. We might say Berna, we might say Raven, we might say someone else. It's like,
you know, I love your take on that because I kind of loved it. I was like, go Corey, like,
yeah, and I was
liked it, but it's like, who made you in charge? We could say,
but who made the girls
say Corey?
But like, who made the girls? But also, who made the girls the ones who were like, well, we don't want any part in this, so you boys do it. You boys be the one. So Corey was like, oh, well, if you're gonna give us power, like, then we can actually do whatever the hell we want. So just be careful. I kind of saw his point.
This is also, ladies, there's also a flaw in production. The way that they set this up, that you can just do these burn votes, they don't matter. They messed up. They didn't consider the fail-safe that went with this. It's an awful game thing that we have to watch every week. It takes 10 minutes for them to go down that line and say who the hell's going in. I'm bored out of my goddamn mind watching that.
They could edit that a little tighter.
Thank God this is ending with Jordan coming in next week. I can't watch this type of this. The way this show outlines it right now is not fun. Jenna, is this fun to watch that? No.
I mean, I don't hate it as much as you hate it.
No, I don't like it. I like the Challenge USA 2 did a great job where they made him go into the room and then TJ would just announce the votes after. It was perfectly done. That's the way it should be done.
I don't like when up here decides they're going to teach a lesson.
Corey could definitely have like I don't know if it's attitude. Yeah, he can have that.
I like that though. And Corey's
Corey's
about to say something about Big T and Melissa. It was like a next on like the season. You almost dropped your whole setup there, Jenna. They're gonna do something like Corey's gonna say, yeah, I'm working with Big T and Melissa, and they're all lying to you. He's about to call them out coming up in episode, like they showed it like at the beginning of the season. So I thought that was gonna be tonight. I thought Corey, because when you said that Jenny's gonna call out the girls, I thought he was gonna call Big T and Melissa out, but apparently it's coming up. And I cannot wait for this. I'm actually loving Corey this season. I think he brings a lot to the table. He's entertaining.
I didn't like the lesson, but then I really
but he's
won me over in the next one. But it's like, what do you mean don't threaten me? Especially when it's like, well, we can still do whatever we want. Like, I don't understand, first of all, why he felt he had power. It's like, you're not the voter.
I agree. That came out of nowhere, Pam. I'll give you that.
But I thought it was a little a little, I don't, again, it's like you, Dan, being like, Pam, I'm going to teach you a lesson right now about how to, it's like, don't tell me you're going to teach, I'm Melissa out at you. Don't like, what do you mean you're going to teach me a lesson? That to me
Well,
is,
I guess from his perspective, and again, this could have been just the way I interpreted it, is like the girls pretty much came to them with this plan of like, well, we're copping out, so balls in your court. And that can kind of be a little bit off-putting too. It's like,
sure.
well, don't tell me now what I have to do for your dirty work. Like, how about I just flip that power? Like, why don't I kind of, within the same thought process, flip that back on you? And now you guys are kind of screwed because you
Because
realize
they're supposed to be working together. That's why it was like, well, because we're telling you, because we're doing this as like the Americans or whatever.
Oh, true. That's such a good point, because then like, why have
Yeah, it's like, well, we're
Yeah.
telling you so you know, and you can
Yeah.
plan accordingly, because this is what all the girls have decided. It's not like they're saying we are going to make all the girls do this and you have to do it too. Like that's
Right.
what the girls all decided. They were just, I don't know, but it was funny.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, TJ shaded. He's like, well, girls, if you didn't want to say Raven, good job. Like TJ.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, damn, you guys really set her up though.
TJ can teach them a lesson. It's not Corey's job.
Well, ladies, this is just another reason that I was rooting for Raven. I wanted her to win it. Pam, why do you not like her so much?
She's a bad. I just wrote like Raven's not a good TV personality. Like she's
all right. Who's better TV personality, her or Huey? Yeah,
I don't know.
Gotcha. Boom.
Raven, because she sucks and has no game, is by default good because she's like fucking shit up inadvertently. But like, I just think I mean, I'm enjoying it because she's making herself a part of story. Like there's story centered around her.
Yes.
But she's just like really doesn't have.
Raven came back in that elimination that we can talk about now. What the hell was it called? Raven came back she was down 0-1. She had to win 2 in a row or she would have gone home. She came back and won it. That's called endurance as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, they put in the most strength in that first round. She came back and wore out Huhui.
That Huhui was just cute as a button, though. I'll say. I don't know. She's cute as a
very nice person. Yeah, she's very nice.
In addition to the next episode, where that elimination happens, I realized that the non-Americans are so much they handle going to elimination so much better and in such an awesome way. That's like they realize they signed up for a reality TV show that's about competition, but all the Americans always bitch and moan and cry every time their name's even like being thrown out there. And Hui was just like, okay, let's do it. This is what I literally signed up for. Like, yes, it is. That's what everyone.
Let's be real. Us Americans, we're spoiled, we're privileged, we're all of the above. Like, let's be honest, we get a lot of.
One Huey did not handle it that well, but we'll get there.
Say that one more time.
Oh, not Huey,
just Huey. Well, I actually think Huey.
Huey.
I thought he handled it. I thought he handled it with humor once he got voted, but during deliberation, I think he was so just confused and blindsided that he was like, "Whoa, pump the brakes, let's back up and just give me a reason why," which I think is fair. But once everybody said his name, he was like, "Well, aren't I popular?" Like I thought he handled it with sarcasm.
How about Huey's reaction in the first elimination when everyone was saying Raven's name and it gets to Raven and she votes for herself and he goes. And I'm like, Huey, bro, there's no chance she's not going down there. And she decided to make actually a really smart decision for when she comes back. She didn't burn a bridge. And Huey's acting like, I can't believe you just, oh my God, you just demised yourself down to the hell. It's like, she was going in there no matter what, bro.
Right,
his reaction was ridiculous.
I live for his theatrics. I love it.
Wow.
But I thought the elimination was really good. So yeah, I love that Huey just was like, okay, like, let's do this thing. This is what I signed up for. She performed really well in that first round. Raven, I think Raven was really flustered in that first round because you see her interview before it even starts and she's already like teary-eyed. She's already like shaking in her voice and all this stuff. And she's so focused on just like digging in that first one. I feel like her reflexes and agility weren't there. But once Mariah is like, be on Huey's ass basically and like lie next to her, make sure you're always next to her, so if she gets it, you can just
great gameplay. Emmanuel said that, correct? Was it Emmanuel that was saying that?
It was.
Well, I know Mariah kept yelling.
Horacio had said it to.
Right, I think Emmanuel said it in the confessional. I think he said that in the confessional. But out of the 4 games we saw, 2 daily challenges and 2 eliminations, this I thought was the best one. I thought it's a great elimination to have. I would love to see it again with a couple dudes going at it, because I want to see that wrestling element come into play, where you actually can stop somebody before they get out, and then it turns into a pole wrestle in a way, which is a badass. So we kind of actually added to a pole wrestle if it pans out that way. Really good elimination as far as the idea, I guess, is a really good elimination.
Yeah. Because you could pick 2 ways to go into it. You could just decide straight up, I'm not going to dig. I'm going to save my arms
and just
to
watch.
wrestle and watch. But then it's like, but what if the other person's so quick? What if they?
I don't think they could be. I think what if you just kept your hands right on top of theirs while they're digging? Just wait for them to find an item. I think I love a game that's not just about brute strength and endurance, but there's strategy involved. This would have been a great game for Jordan Wisely to pull off. I'm telling you, this dude would have thought about all the angles.
Are you like a sponsor for Jordan this after show?
I'm trying to get everybody hyped. Maybe I'm just trying to get myself hyped up from next week, because I haven't really enjoyed the season so far. And or maybe I'm trying to get everyone else watching hyped up to watch us next week when we get to actually talk about Jordan and what he does. Because they showed the commercial that he could take home $10K if he wins out of their pot.
Ooh, okay.
All he has to do is win something, and he gets $10K. So we don't know what it is yet, though.
Well, I have a Hyundai, and I'm looking for another one. So Jordan, you're doing the work of. He's a Hyundai spokesperson.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad Jen and I were on the same page. I had no idea that he is a spokesperson.
So I'm really supporting Jordan. Okay.
All right. So any other thoughts on Dirty Deeds, this sweet elimination that we saw?
Even though Huey is an adorable, fantastic person, I was rooting for Raven as well, and I'm happy.
Thank you, Jenna.
I didn't care. I liked Huey. I didn't care about Raven. I didn't really care much. But I felt like that dude, as much as I'm not like Raven's biggest fan, that dude
Kieran. Isn't it Kieran? Kieran.
For voting her.
Because it's spelled with a C. That's why it like flicks my brain. I feel like Kieran is spelled with a.
Well, you're thinking of Kieran Culkin. Yes. Macaulay Culkin's younger brother.
Yeah, there's another. Anyway,
Jenna, he's very famous. I'm not just throwing names out there. He's very famous.
Culkin, he was in Succession. Yeah, he's.
He was in Home Alone 1 and 2. He played Fuller, and he wets the bed.
All right. Well, we can play a game later called "Which Culkin Is It?" and guess which Culkin was it. But not.
He was in She's All That.
So one of them was in the. Hold on, let me finish this thought. That guy Kieran with a C. At that point, Raven was going in. That's so fucking rude. I'm sorry. If first of all, you're the guy that she's in trouble because of.
But she was already going in at that point, so he was just.
No, but you don't have to say her name. You could say, "Oh, I'm gonna pick Berna."
But look, if it was like a Kyland or someone else in the house that actually, I don't really think that he's that into her. I think he just wants to hook up. So he doesn't care if he hooks up with her anymore, so he'll say her name and then he'll apologize later and say, "Look,
that was dirty. That was a dirty deed. That was uncool. It was humiliating. Like that to me, more than Melissa not getting publicly made out with. It's like, dude, I just blew all this shit to tell you to blow up my alliance and told you something.
Well, when they're hooking up next week, Pamela, we'll see that she didn't really mind if he said her name. So
apparently, but I thought it was rude personally. Now I'm like,
I had the same knee-jerk reaction to you, Pam. Like when he said it, I was like, "Whoa, what? I can't believe you said his name."
Yeah,
like
not cool, dude.
That's messed up. But to Dan's point, then I thought about it. I was like, well, I mean, what? They've known each other for like 5 days, maybe. So I guess it's not.
Well, really. I do it. There's no. I'm not saying it would have made any difference if he didn't. It'd be like, I don't want to see Raven go. I'm gonna say just a courtesy.
But but the only hookup we saw of them was him sitting in the corner of a hot tub and her swimming up to him and kind of like making out with him. He didn't make the move.
Maybe
there
was nothing there. It might not be anything.
About that hot tub and the fight was my first thing before the fight started. I was like, I am old because cesspool. Like, I feel like you could not pay me to jump in that. Like,
yeah, I'm good.
Hot tub with like a million, like horny, sweaty.
I'd swim in the pool for sure. I'd swim in the pool.
It really was like with 30 people. Like everyone get in the hot tub. I was like, He's
I'd
so
like put my
lucky.
legs in and sit on the outside of it.
First time they actually gave them a lot of alcohol or something this
Yeah.
entire time they've been there, because it's like the only like semi-wild night they've had.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
yeah,
look, I
gotta do it.
enjoyed it. They mixed it up a little bit. I enjoyed that. I was fine with it. It was good. Let's move along to episode 4 here. As Pam pointed out, this is episode 4. I'm coming out. I had less notes than I did for the first episode, so get ready, ladies, because I just did not have much here. Jenna, you seem like you have one to say something about the vignette.
Oh, no, I was just laughing at the fact that you have very minimal takes on this, but I mean, I have to look too. I probably do as well.
I can
mean,
start
the
us
coming
off
out
with
party
some.
was pretty okay. Go ahead.
It starts off with like, oh my God, all of a sudden there's this big situation between Zara and Corey. And it's like, there was no build up to it. It's like, hey guys, just so you know, there's an issue with Zara. Here's your plate of food. We need you to take your medicine and eat this right now. But there's an issue between Zara and Corey, and you need to buy into it right now. And I'm like, okay, there's an issue between Zara and Corey. But I don't care. I don't know. Whatever. Good. Great. Grand. Nothing even came of it. It was. So go on. If you ladies want to talk about it, we can move along because I'm fine with moving along.
That's a good point. I think I would have liked to have seen more than that like 1 nanosecond of like a splice in that we saw of him saying to one person. He was like off camera too, so they obviously didn't have like the camera guys in the room quick enough, because he's like off camera.
Right.
Like, would you say Zara if we all say Zara or something? Like, it was such a quick thing, but if you're in the house, I'm sure it's so hard to hear somebody say your name and not get immediately like, well, now I'm the next person that it's going to domino effect on. And also, I mean, Corey did just say to Zara's face, like, you guys are good. You guys are good. We're not saying you. And then come to find out, he actually was changing his plan and was considering saying her. So it does look really sloppy on his part.
It is. It was, and again, I will give everyone credit for owning their mistakes in these episodes. He did. He's like, it was nothing. It was stupid. I shouldn't have tried to do it. And I take responsibility for that. I'm sorry. So it was nothing and it was stupid. I think they just had to address it because she was going hard on like trying to get people to vote for him. So they had to like.
Okay, well, it's interesting because the only other thing they address in these vignettes is them putting their shirts on to go to the daily challenge. Have you noticed that? There's
so much.
Why are they so into showing us this? I'm like, I get it. They're going, but it's like it's not just a natural thing where they're getting dressed. They get the camera set up, like, hey, all right, UK and action, put your shirt on. And it's not like I want the real world. Just let them put their clothes on and get to the thing. It's so weird to me.
It's funny. It's so funny you say that because it's something that annoys me only because of like the amount of time you have in a day, you know? So for example, I already feel like, finishing work and doing things around the house and then like trying to watch the show to get it done quick enough for us to all
so much filler. I agree.
Yes, but it's West Coast and East Coast time difference. So I'm like, I don't need to see them slowly taking on and off their shirts. Like that was the one thing that bothered me because I felt like it was taking up time. I was like, can I just fast forward through this? Like I gotta watch the show so I can talk about it. And that's like, if I had all the time in the world and was watching for entertainment, I probably would never even care.
Right.
Like I would think it's like funny or something, but the fact that it just feels like, well, I don't have time to watch them take off.
Hey, they're going to walk out of the house now. Oh, they're going to enter onto the stage now. Oh, they're going to stand there for a second and TJ's finally going to talk. I don't need to see any of that.
Is there voiceover doing it or nothing? It was just shirt putting on.
It's just music, like whatever. It's over.
Pam clearly was checked out. So
Pam jumped in the shower. She came back and they were still getting ready for the challenge.
Thinking about how glad the girls must be that they didn't have to wear those orange leggings. These girls all have amazing bodies and they don't do anyone any favor. Like those like hot orange, like fluorescent orange leggings.
Oh, you don't like those, huh?
No, nobody looks good in them. Like no, I was just thinking how mad I'd be if I had to put those on.
That is so funny.
That's what I was thinking about with the clothes. I'm like
the deep blue and the orange. That is those are the colors they went with for the vibe of this.
Gray and orange, isn't it? Or were we having
a deep blue? But whatever.
Anyway, yeah.
All right, let's move on to this daily challenge. This one was obviously better than the other one. Still not great. Here's where I'm confused. I thought everybody had to get their own puzzle piece, and then the 4 extra dudes, in this case, they chose dudes to do it, had to go back and collect the final 4 to do it. I didn't know that people were allowed to help each other because Ed went back and helped Nerys. I didn't think that was an option. I thought they were going to like just get DQ'd or whatever it was.
They did say that, and they didn't explain how Ed was able to go.
So did they really say that though? Because that's where
He said everyone has to get their own first, and then 4 people will get. Well,
so
maybe
why were they allowed the $50,000? I really should go back and watch this again.
Maybe it was a group imposed thing that everyone will get their own, and then maybe it wasn't like the rules from the challenge.
I
maybe
swore they threw in a voiceover of TJ, and I swore TJ reiterated everyone needs to get their own piece. But maybe I'm wrong.
Not get her own piece.
Someone in the comment section will let us know.
With your own piece, maybe someone can actually dive down and retrieve it as long as you place it.
Oh, maybe that
could be that if she really couldn't do it, you could get help.
Yeah, that does feel like a bend in the rules though. Like I wonder if they changed it because she was having such a hard time, but I don't know why they would want her. I'm sorry, I don't know why they would want the team to win. You know, don't the producers, they don't want them to collect more money?
Well, it's also I think it's their last time. Maybe next week's their last. They get one more chance, but I think they also need them to collect as much money as possible because all these vets are going to come in and take a lot of it, and then they're going to be like, you only have $100,000 left, and then to these new kids in 2023, $100,000 is $5. So they need to have some good chunk of money still left that they can win maybe at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if they announced something, you know, that okay, you can go and help her, because they made such a big thing about it being Ed, and that's not to discredit him, but if that was the case, why didn't anybody go and help her sooner? You know,
right. Why did Ed have to be the one to come back and help? Right.
Yeah, like then if that was the case, then anybody could have helped her for that whole damn time she was there, which was a very long time. And then it's I don't know. So that seems like a little bit of a
They also could have made it look like she was there for a long time, Jenna. Maybe she's only there for a couple minutes and she dove down 3 times and gave up. They made it sound like
the whole thing was only a half an hour or maybe 20 minutes. Because I was like, the clock, the countdown, like I was on the edge of my seat. But I do think got to see her struggling while everyone else was probably crazy.
Ladies, can you believe it? They finished the entire thing with only 3 seconds left. Oh, how many more times do I have to be right about the bullshit conspiracy that they're doing this with that garbage? I can't stand it.
I was like,
I was surprised that they finished it because it really was looking like Nerissa and Melissa were not gonna get it done today.
Ladies, they probably finished it with 5 minutes left. And I'm telling you right now, it's hot garbage that they show us like that. 3 seconds. Ladies, please, do you really think they finished with 3 seconds?
Yes.
Pamela said yes.
Come on. Just let us have this.
Why would they lie?
Why would they lie to us?
Exactly.
Why would anybody lie to us?
I can't imagine a reality show taking advantage of their viewers.
Otherwise, though, I was surprised. I mean, I thought a lot of people did so well in this. Like again, Huey did really good. He could swim and he dove right down there and he got his puzzle piece in one shot.
Well, let's be honest, Jenna. Everyone did good.
Yeah, everyone did good. Except
it wasn't that hard.
Really,
Kieran, and Emmanuel did
let me tell you a few reasons why this was not a hard challenge. Because I grew up on a lake, so I can speak on these things when it comes to water. Number one, they had a life jacket on the entire time, and they can just float there when they get tired. Yes, Pamela?
Which is hard. Did they have to wear the life jacket when they went down?
Well, let me explain. Number two, there's literally a rope that they can use to pull their body weight down to get the piece. And then guess what? They don't have to swim back to the top. They can just float back up to the top because they're wearing a life jacket. So I'm sorry, but this challenge wasn't hard.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, you're the lake person. I find myself to be a very casual swimmer. I can do it. Not bad at it, but also not an expert. My husband, I don't think he would have been able to do this one.
Really?
Jeez.
I mean, not a water, not like an open water person. Like he'll go in the ocean, you know, but anytime we've tried to do like a snorkeling excursion, he's in the water 30 seconds and is like, I'm going to the boat now. Like this sucks. Really? I hate this. Yeah.
I would like to brag and say that my husband on our honeymoon was like, you're like athletic in the water. I'm like, yeah, like I like not unlike Big T, but who screwed up. But like I didn't grow up on a lake, but I am very comfortable. Some people, I guess, if you don't like it, that's a scary feeling to go 20 feet.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
if you're
so I'm
not,
trying to say that I don't think it could be as easy as, you might be thinking, because it looked like a lot of them were gassed out and out of breath, and they talked about it was a longer swim than they anticipated. Then you got to dive down, holding your breath might be harder for some people, but generally everybody really kicked ass outside of
Yeah.
Nerys and Melissa, honestly. Yeah.
yeah.
You like that when it goes in the water, Pam, it grows. Like, what was that childhood thing?
Oh, the sponges, like,
That's like your magic. You go in the water and now you're
yeah, it's like I become
athlete.
really good at things in the water. Yeah, but I agree that most people did fine, but if you're not a water person like your husband, then it could be daunting. And I do think it is hard swimming with a life jacket on. If you're like sometimes that's
True.
hard. It's like a petite person who's not cut to, you like don't have full range of your arms, makes it difficult. So
ladies, let's move on here, and let me just say this. I guess we found out why Big T is no longer attracted to Horacio. We found that out tonight. In the episode 1, she says she's no longer attracted to Horacio. We found out why tonight.
I don't remember. Is this a what?
Came out of the closet.
She came out of the closet.
Oh, the whole other half of it. That's right.
Anyways, there you go.
There was someone else she was hooking up with on that. That's why I'm like, Big T's gay. She likes the French guy that was good friends with Emmanuel or something on the.
I don't know, but apparently there you go. So that's all I wanted to say. I have nothing else to say about it. So yay.
I want to say
no, it was fun. I loved this coming out party. I thought it was very fun. Everybody was into it. It was just very like a happy, positive moment when everybody had fun together.
Yeah, old school like party.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a party in the house. Like
happy party, celebratory. Yeah. Big T loved it. She felt very seen and appreciated and like comfortable. So yeah, I liked that they did this. But
and the guy, this generation, they're all like
the point of the Horacio thing.
I forgot. I didn't
why does she like Horacio?
I mean, I was just trying to make a joke about it, but yes,
yeah,
you get my joke. It's fine. All right.
No, my joke is that Kylie Minogue is still making bangers. I was like, who's singing this song?
Oh my
really
gosh. Listen to
like,
Tension. Listen to her song Tension. It's awesome.
Really? I'm like Kylie Minogue. I remember being in like elementary school, like early, like first grade, and like everybody's due in the break or some age. Like she had a little.
That's not that song. No way. That's that song.
She had a song, The Locomotion. That, like,
the Locomotion. Oh, a remake of it or something?
So, yes, a remake. But
oh God, yeah. I was like, Kylie Minogue does not sing.
No, but she's been making things for 30 years. Put it that way. She's been making.
It was love at first sight, right?
She's been making she's been a pop star for a long time.
Ladies, do you believe that Callum is cheating on his girlfriend back home? And also, do you believe that Callum is really liking Melissa that much? Or sorry, Michelle that much?
No.
Tell me. Let's talk about that before we talk about the eliminator.
I really feel like
the guy who really likes you that much sits there and tells you how much they like you.
I don't understand what he's doing, because like he won't admit that he has a girlfriend at home or what that is, and then he won't admit what he's got going on with Michelle. He just says like, I wake up in the morning and I think about you. I'm like, could you be any more obtuse with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's just hard to read because it feels like it's TV influenced in like a variety of ways. Like it could just be a really thin, stupid, nothing storyline, but it's kind of being elevated for the TV. Or I feel like Callum is being so like evasive about the details of it because of TV, and he's not trying to like. I don't know. If you do have somebody back home, she's gonna see at least this much, and that should be like at least 5 red flags for her. Like you're still doing enough that it's sketchy, but I feel like he's trying to maybe skew the situation to make it seem less bad.
Playing Michelle, and I think he's gonna tell his.
I don't know. Yeah.
All back home that it was like for the game, like he had to do it for the game.
He was a player as well though on X on the Peak. He was X on the Peak because this was going on during we were at AfterBuzz, and I think Pamela, you and I talked about
Jeremy. Yeah, we saw that
because we liked watching it at that time.
Who
Jenna, you were at AfterBuzz with us when X on the Peak was on, just so you know.
I didn't watch it, but I can't help but giggle every time I hear X on the Peak.
was Kellum's ex-girlfriend on Ex
It
on the
was
Beach?
some very attractive blonde woman. I remember she was a blonde white chick. Yeah. There you
I
go.
don't know, but Kellum is a player. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, he's bad news. Like
He
from
was back in the day
saying, I
too.
was like,
Was he
when
a
you're
good player on X on the Peak though? Because he's not giving good player on this show. I'm like,
no,
I just
Michelle
I just
is
don't
falling
get
for it.
like I don't Michelle, like we can say she was really smart for like doing that challenge. Good for you, Michelle. You're really smart. She's not smart when it comes to dudes. Why doesn't she
Hopefully
get
she's
like she
playing
doesn't
him too,
why
or
doesn't
like
yeah,
she
I don't
understand?
think. Yeah, I think
Really?
that
I
she
think that
wants to
he's
hook
gonna
up.
end
I
up
don't think
breaking
she
it off with her and
cares.
she's gonna be actually upset by it. I do.
well, she
We'll
seemed
see. I don't.
when hooey, not hooey,
Well,
just one
Huey?
hooey.
oh
Huey.
shoot! I thought it was Huey. It's just one Huey. Oh!
No, when one Huey during the game was like, "Who's
Irish
their
Huey.
partner back at home?" Like Michelle did seem actually uncomfortable and hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, she just also, I mean, she didn't know, so it's not her fault, but you never want to find out you're like the other person that ruins someone's relationship. Like, I would never want to
this
Uh,
guy's an
someone,
asshole. I don't think he
you
gives a shit
know?
about his partner at home or Michelle or anybody. He's just that's what he does is have show, he's like,
Ugh.
I like you so much, girl. And it's like, okay, I won't vote for you then. Like Michelle's
Yeah,
obviously
like
strong.
he's cute and all, but his flirtation and his playerness is not giving me enough to find him charming. I'm like, he's not even really that good at what he's supposed to be good at.
I'm surprised Michelle too. She's like, he checks all my boxes. It's like, really?
She's not smart when it comes to dudes. I don't think, from what I've seen.
Right, like
right.
what? Like smart, no. Funny, no. Like nice, no.
Tatted. But okay, here's her boxes. Tatted, eyes,
jacked up.
bod. Yeah.
Yep. It's all
right. Like makes me feel like
Army of Skanks. That's from Mean Girls.
check.
Army of Skanks.
Right.
Yep.
Not bod. Army of Skanks.
Burn book. You gotta have a good burn book
Burn
if you're gonna
book.
be doing Mean Girls. Yeah, gotta have a good burn book.
Muscles, probably. She's like, muscles, tattoos. Okay, here we go.
Right. I'm like, those are your boxes. All right, whatever.
Let's move on to deliberation here. Okay. Corey and Huey and a circle jerk. That's what I wrote down for deliberation. Anybody else? I can't stand this. What these deliberations are not fun to watch.
They're a bit painful just because
they're awkward, they're painful.
Too night. Like, I don't know. It feels weird to, I guess it's because the house is kind of making house decisions. It's not like last season where the votes were anonymous, because it feels like, why does everybody have to plead a case? Why does everybody have to say something? And why do you out what the whole house is saying? I don't know. It just feels like
it feels like it was a poor game maker that made this decision that this was going to be fun to watch. Like this the challenge season 2 was so good because the producers came up with good ideas for us and interesting. This was an idea that they obviously had and they thought it would be better than this, because there's no way they're watched back and say, man, I'm glad we decided this was how we do deliberation this season.
It could get better, like deeper.
Yeah, I'm really
fighting.
I'm really intrigued. No, I'm intrigued for episode 5. Now that the vets are going to start making their presence known, like maybe every episode, I think this season could really turn itself around. But these first 4 episodes, and I'm telling you, that's why they put these 2 back to back. They're trying to get to the good stuff because they realize no one wants to watch this for a full month for one episode a week.
Making me care about these people though a lot. Like on the first episode, I was like, Lorna's annoying. Now I'm like, no, I get her now. Like it takes a while to get to know people. So now I'm like, oh, I understand. She could she rubbed me the wrong way. And it's like, oh, it's just her. She's and all the other girls like Olivia, Mariah, and Reese, I'm like starting to invest in liking them. It is getting me to care about and know these people much more. Corey, I came around to Huey. So I do care about these people now, some of them. So I'm enjoying it. I'm not missing the vets, put it that way. The first episode, I was like, don't care, where's...
Yeah, I guess the only thing with the deliberation is, I don't know, I'm kind of having opposing thoughts again in my head, like always, because that's just how my brain likes to think. Because on one point, I'm just like, if your name's getting thrown out there, it feels like you are now obligated to speak at these deliberations. But should you have to? I mean,
we've seen that it hasn't worked out well for anybody.
Worked. And I know, but my other opposing thought is like, well, don't you have to try? Isn't that the whole point? You have to try to have some sort of smart social game or some strategy to avoid the elimination if you can strategically. You know, we always talk about like, it's annoying that people don't accept the fact that like sometimes you're just going to be the person that has to go down. But it's a little bit harder, and we've talked about this in these games, when you didn't just outright lose the challenge. Like in those cases, it's like, yeah, you're going in, and that's what we used to like, you know, about the show. You lost the daily challenge, you're in. If you piss somebody off, or if you have a weak social game, then you're also the person that's going to get voted in. Like it all felt like a little bit more fair. It felt like, or at least there was like logic to it. Now it just kind of seems like, okay, so they have these deliberations to what? To say like, basically you two are the least popular in the house, so try to make yourself seem more popular. Why should we like you, even though we're going to vote for you anyway?
Right.
It's just
you nailed
like,
it, Jenna. You nailed it. No matter what they use what they say as an excuse for what they were already going to do. And if they decided not to speak, because we brought that up, they'd say, well, you're not going to stick. You just said, Jenna, well, you're not stating your case, so I guess I'm going to put you in because you won't state your case. It's a lose-lose situation. And guess what? It's also a lose-lose situation for the audience, because I'm bored out of my mind watching this crap. All right, let's move along to the, we talked about the elimination. How I Roll is what it was called. Huey versus Kyland. Like I said, I thought it was kind of a Chuck E. Cheese carnival game. Anyone can win any night. So we all said Huey did a great job. Well, anyone can do a great job.
The Americans are talking about their alliance, and then they're like, and Colleen. That was mine. I'm like, Colleen,
who's German.
Yes.
Also, Asaf and Emmanuel are also are in this U.S. alliance. Like they're just always in the room.
They were in there. I was like,
right? Why was Emmanuel there? I'm like, so what is this alliance anyways? Is everybody in the alliance except for a couple of the Brits guys?
It's the biggest alliance ever. It's like
USA
5 people aren't in
ride
it.
Or dies.
It's like the whole house minus 5 people, I feel like.
Exactly. It is, which is why you don't want to go against them.
Yeah, it's so
it's
way too many people at this point. It's ridiculous.
But Colleen, it's like, and it's Mariah and Olivia and Raven and Colleen, and I was like, Colleen.
You know, speaking of someone that has not been even like shown on the show for the last 4 episodes, Colleen's there. Just so y'all know. Well, who is Colleen's ride or die? That guy with the long blonde hair. What was his name?
Colleen boy. The male
Colleen and boy version of Colleen.
And male Colleen.
I love them though, because again, they just have a different spirit. Like they went into elimination and they were like, okay.
Yeah. I think his name was like Colette though. Like something also that I was like, which one's Colleen? Which one's Colette? Well, why are they that?
Well, if he's the male version, then his name was Marlene and Colleen.
Yeah, like
I have to look it up.
They just looked like
Jenna needs to know.
I need to know.
Ladies, any final thoughts on these two?
Kim, Colleen.
Kim and Colleen. Pamela, you were right.
Kim.
You were right, Pamela.
That's a girl's name. That's why I'm like, I didn't know who was who the whole season. They had the same hair, the same beautiful eyes. I don't know. I felt bad. My last comment was, I love Huey. I'm sad he left. I just, that's a shitty feeling. I empathized with him when he was like, all his friends, even like Berna and Olivia, who seemed to be, and Michelle, they were like, we don't want to say your name, but Huey, sorry. I felt like that sucks. It hurts when people you think would never say your name. And I don't know. The elimination was fine, but they were making it sound like Huey was like Kylan was demolishing him, and I was like, he was always
no, they didn't. I don't think they did that. They showed the balls going up for Huey as well.
I mean, they did, but the people's voice, like the people's comments, like the balls, I was like, he's not really beating him by that much.
I know, but a lot of people are also saying how great Huey was doing too, though.
So focused.
What was interesting too is that Kylan is on this massive U.S. House Alliance, and so is Michelle. And Michelle was like very vocally, actively helping Huey, rooting for Huey, giving him guidance. And I was like, oh wait, but do people care that you're doing that? Because you're in Kylan's alliance, aren't you?
Well, why I think Huey felt blindsided, because he doesn't know that that's really, and like he feels like those are his closest friend, like Michelle, but all these people that are in another alliance, and Corey is in the USA alliance. It's like these people that have his back still don't really have his back. That's the bummer.
Yeah.
He was friends with everyone, but an alliance with no one.
Yeah. So my take on the elimination is I'm really trying not to be a hater with these games, but and again, it's my bias. Like when you go into elimination and somebody who you care about is in the elimination, you're gonna be pissed off when the game is a stupid game that feels like it's important to have equalizers, but this was just, yeah, like a janky backyard game, push the ball into a basket. I rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, this is so Big Brother. This is
It's
so
so Big
not.
Brother, and I hate them. I hate watching them, and I hate that someone's in charge of maybe getting it's like, oh, okay, like you flicked the domino that knocked the freaking whistle on a lollipop. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, and this is going to decide somebody's fate in the game when you can
Yeah.
and guess what? Huey gets to pick who he wants to go against. So can you make it some sort of athletic game or
Right.
some actual smart game? It doesn't have to be brute. It doesn't have to be hall brawl, whatever. Doesn't need to be that.
brain, anything. A puzzle, like this is
that
some
requires
skill.
a lot more
Right.
skill than just pushing a ball over this little roller coaster contraption and hoping it falls into a metal basket. I'm like, oh no, that's like field day in 5th grade. Like this is not,
Totally.
Oh, there was legit a Chuck E. Cheese game where the ball had to go all the way like on like a little track, like a snake, and then fall into the basket at the end. So
Apples.
this is something like I would be so pissed if I
apples.
signed up to go into the challenge and I went into elimination. I'd be like, this is what I'm doing today.
But then again, you got to look at the other side of it, though. It's anybody's game, too. Like, what if Huey had to wrestle Kylan? I guess he probably wouldn't have chose Kylan to wrestle against. My point is, though, if it was more of a physical match, then maybe he would have been outmatched, in a wrestling match or a pole wrestler or something.
But at least then we would have been like, well, he didn't win. Like he tried and it wasn't his night. It's hard when it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's hard, but exactly. Like there's equalizers and I get that. You don't want something to be like Fessy being 6'5" going against a 5'8" guy in a hall brawl. That's just like
he does every season.
But he does every season, twice a season. for his cousin that's on the production staff. But something like this almost feels like so much like an equalizer that it's like cancels out the idea.
Like it's a raffle. It's like
now it's a lottery. Yes. Now it's
like guess how many jelly beans are in this jar?
Yes,
like a million.
That could be fun. All right, now I'm in.
That's so yes, Pam. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hashtag jelly beans if you're still listening after this. We talked for an hour and a half. My goodness. Yes, Jenna?
We have to say one more thing about this is why did we even throw in the fact that all of USA was going to go James when everybody said Huey? Why was that? Why did they even talk about it?
Filler. It was filler to get us to think it could be anybody else but Huey, and it's just wasting 2.5 hours of my life.
But they didn't, I'm sure production wasn't like, now go say you're going to vote in James so we have a red herring. I mean, that would just be
okay. And they purposely, notice this, these weird things. They made Raven start the other night. No, or Berna start the other night. They had Mariah purposely put at the end to go first because they knew she wouldn't say James because she's with James, and she got the vote started on Huey. So think about that too.
It definitely does.
Mariah didn't just magically end up on the right side. There's 20 people left. She was purposely put there to go first.
But one person saying, not saying the name of the person up with now changes all the teams.
It did with Berna. When Berna said whoever she said, which was Jessica, everyone else followed suit and voted Jessica. So just saying.
Yeah. I get it. But I felt like I thought we were going James here, people. Like Nerissa said, it's like, what?
I mean, how many votes did James even get? 0, right? Because a couple people went Huey.
And then they
Huey in a row. That's all it took.
Huey call him out, because then at least I was like, well, Huey's going to call him out because James is the one that was like, all right, Huey and Corey, you're the names that are being talked about. And it's like, we are.
People would rather go against Huey if Huey comes back versus James coming back. People would rather be they'd rather Huey be mad at them than James. Let's just be honest.
No, I get it. But Huey, again, there's a few people, forget the alliance because everybody's in it. The people not in it are Huey, The two, those
James,
Kieran
Callum,
and James,
Kieran.
Callum, but he's pussy protected because he's in love with Michelle, so she'll protect him.
I don't think he's in love.
I know, but I'm saying he's making her think he is. He checks all her boxes. So I don't know. It's just Crystal. There's like 5 people not.
He's about to check another box, if you know what I mean.
But you just brought up another really good point as to why these deliberations are so like eye-rolly and weird, because so people are going into the deliberation and one person's like, okay, I'll speak for the house. Here's the names that are being said. It's like, couldn't you just make something up then? Like, couldn't Huey just be, well, that's ironic because I'm actually hearing Kieran's name. Like,
well, you know what? That would make it a lot more interesting, Jenna. Someone should do something like that. Yeah.
Like, actually, we all wanted you to think that, James.
Literally, like, who is, are these self-appointed, or are producers saying like, okay, Horacio, can you kick this one off?
Well,
or like,
it was producers telling TJ to make sure that the whole cast knew, hey, guess what? It's a guy elimination this week, because they, like, back in the day, you used to go back and forth so everyone knew. Now that, like, they're getting this territory where they don't do that anymore. It's like up for grabs.
Yeah, no, but that's just, I wonder if people could do that. Like, just walk in and be like, well, you know what? I'm hearing a lot of people.
They can do whatever they want. Of course they could.
Yeah.
Jenna, I love that idea.
It's just, but it's all just like.
It is goofy. It's like, well, we've heard. It's like, well, I've heard. Yeah, exactly. Can someone be like, well, your name?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't blame Huey, because I was saying like, oh, the UK people are handling going into elimination so much better. And people could be like, no, Huey obviously didn't, the way he freaked out at deliberation. But it's because you show up to deliberation and all of a sudden this person in front of you is telling you everyone's saying your name. And you're like,
right.
What?
So that's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, you're like, who said it?
Yeah.
So it's just a weird, like, yeah, okay, like I would just be so annoyed, like you in your high seat, you in your comfortable chair over there being like, well, everyone's talking about you.
Yeah. And again, the guy that was like, well, you think you're like, have a good social game, but you don't know. It's like, well, you're not in the alliance that's making all these decisions either. So fuck off. And you don't know.
Always has something to say. He always has some like, well, you better not mess up next time. I'm just like, well, how are you Mr. Perfect? Like, you think you're just never going to mess up?
Callum or Kieran? Callum,
Michelle's guy, yeah.
Both of them have. Both
I was going to say, because Kieran did give me that vibe too, but yeah, Callum more so.
True, yeah, Kieran definitely like steps up a lot as like, oh, I can tell you guys everything because I know the most.
As Johnny Banana's grandfather says, confidence is quiet, but arrogance is loud.
Ooh.
That's exactly how I feel like you can be confident.
Little bananas.
Yeah, well, he's pulled that out after Jordan did the X's. He's like, my grandfather used to say, confidence is quiet. I think I'm getting the quote right, but arrogance is loud. And like, that was an arrogant move, not a confident. Like that was the point, that it's arrogant. And I think like Callum and the two C names that I don't like, Kieran, Callum, whatever, the CKs, they are both arrogant. It's like, it rubs me the wrong way, their stuff. It's not like Ed, who's confident and says like, oh, I think I really
you had to put Ed one more time in, Jenna, or it just look at her. Now she's like,
we're back to him. We're back to her guy.
Gosh, like, I don't think I've had like a
blushing right
now. Not like
Angel
Ed.
Yeah. Ed for Angel as well as president. All right, I gotta go. I gotta do.
President.
Right, love you guys.
All right, we'll see y'all next week for hopefully just one episode. Who knows if it'll be two? But if we got an hour and a half, we talked. Fantastic, good stuff there. Feel free to comment. We love the comments, and we'll see y'all next week. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Jelly beans.
Bye.
Jelly beans. # jelly beans.
All right, bye guys.